Hello! I'm Dave Hewitt, and I'm here with Christopher Harris, joining us from the yacht back in LA. How's it going, Chris?
I am yacht bound. I am aboard the yacht. You can't see the possum water vodka bottles scattered all over. Oh, it's a big. He's been sent to his room. The problem is that there are probably people who watch the YouTube channel who have no idea what I'm talking about. I do a podcast too, and it has lots of very funny inside jokes.
Yes. And without that, this won't make any sense. But we'll talk about some things that'll make sense. We're going to talk about the late round picks that we love. We're right in the heat of draft season now, so we're kind of seeing where people are actually going. We're not just talking about kind of the theory of our ranks anymore. So Chris came with 5.5 guys he gave me that we're going to talk about. There's a hidden one.
Right. Well, and so what I'll just like to introduce the list. I'll say more than anything, Dave, and I think you feel the same way. I just wind up taking these guys a lot. I've done a million drafts by this point, and it feels like these are some of the dudes that these are the dudes that in the double digit rounds ish, I think adjacent, maybe a little earlier than one of them. I just wind up with them again and again on the team. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we think the ADP is wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean we think the market is stupid. It just means that we're gravitating towards them. There'll be different reasons for different players, but I'm drafting them a lot.
And that takes us well into our first guy because it's Salvon Ahmed, and he was on your super deep list. So it was a little bit of a surprise that someone from the super deep list has now creeped into, man, I love getting this guy late in the draft.
I know. I'm a walking contradiction, and I ain't got no right. Like I admit that when I did the super deep sleeper list on the podcast, it's meant to be kind of undraftable players, and Salvon Ahmed, being a letter A, was the first dude I talked about, and I kind of hadn't really been taking him that much at that point, and now it's felt like here lately maybe I've been getting the courage of my convictions, but keep seeing Myles Gaskin in my mind going too high. He made our bust video that we did last week. I just feel like I've been getting to the very ends of drafts. Like he's not getting drafted, Salvon Ahmed. He's nominally the third running back in Miami. And I just kind of, I think all three of them I think Malcolm Brown should be going too. I think we don't yet know what we don't know about that backfield, and someone's getting hurt, and I just don't think there's enough of a difference between the three of them that none of them should be getting drafted.
So Salvon Ahmed, we're grabbing him late now. I think the next guys on our list are going a little bit higher than that. You got Marquez Callaway, who finally got an almanac profile in the latest revision, and Tre'Quan Smith.
I've decided I'm not that fond of you.
Yeah, I get that a lot. So you got Marquez Callaway and Tre'Quan Smith. This is why I said the 5.5. We stuck 2 in here. These are the Michael Thomas replacements.
Right. So Marquez Callaway's the cause celeb. He's the one everybody's advising you to take, and I find myself taking him a lot. His ADP. Well, I'm looking at my notes. I mean, he's still 10th in a lot of places. Maybe in PPR is a little higher than that. And of course, our constant disclaimer about ADP applies, which is not in my league. Like I get it. There are different ADPs for different places, and sometimes maybe Marquez Callaway isn't lasting that long. And he's been the star of training camp. He scored 2 touchdowns in the preseason. Like he's been the man. And I take him a lot. I do. I take him a lot in the 10th round if I get him. But I also think Tre'Quan Smith should get drafted in the 15th round or the 14th round or whatever, because I don't know if we're right, because Tre'Quan Smith, while disappointing over the course of his career, is probably a better athlete and probably a better player, I think. He's, a year or two further along in his development. And we don't know what this would have looked like had Tre'Quan Smith been there the entire time. And that's not to say that Marquez Callaway's great performances mightn't have changed what people perceive to be the top receiver. But there's a world where he was a stand-in. There's a world where Tre'Quan Smith is equally involved. And actually, I think Jake Seeley said it when we did a mock draft on the channel like a week and a half ago. The bottom line is whichever one you think should go higher. And at the time, Callaway hadn't busted out with those 2 long touchdowns in the preseason, so they were going really close to each other. But they're both worth drafting. They're the 1 and the 2, we think, unless Tre'Quan Smith just can't play because he's hurt. I think they're the 1 and the 2 in a Jameis Winston offense, and that's worth something.
Yeah, and so I want to clear up something I said. When I said they're the Michael Thomas replacements, I'm not saying that they're the handcuffs, right? These are players we are saying are draftable and usable, Maybe it's because the handcuff situation already presented itself, but like we're saying,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think your point is correct in that they're not replacements when Michael Thomas gets back. Like
right.
it's very much worth mentioning that part of the reason why you shouldn't go too crazy on Marquez Callaway is because it might be half a year.
Yeah, so don't let the price get too high. This is why these are the late picks we love. If they leave that range, maybe not. Right. Next up, you're going to make me talk about Green Bay Packer. We've got Randall Cobb coming home. Aaron Rodgers' bubby. We're going with Randall Cobb.
Yeah, I mean, borderline undrafted. And again, so I should also clarify, I'm not saying you have to take all these guys in the late rounds. It's just, I have the blessing and the curse of being in a lot of drafts. And some of them are mock drafts we don't ever play out, and a lot of them we play. And so I don't get all of these guys on every team, right? It's a matter of here and there. But I take Cobb very late a bunch. Now, acknowledging absolutely that there's a possibility we look back in a couple of days when cutdown day has passed and Randall Cobb's no longer on the team, and this will look dumb. But that's okay because it cost you a 14th or a 15th round pick, so you cut him and you move on. And if you're getting a degraded form of the dude who had one amazing and some pretty good fantasy seasons that late, and it's an Aaron Rodgers number 2 receiving weapon, that's great. Now, I've touted Amari Rodgers as a super deep sleeper. I don't know that I think that happens for sure this year, but I think there's a world where Randall Cobb's just older and not ready to be a great player anymore, and it just becomes clear that at some point Cobb needs to sit and Rodgers needs to play, Rodgers needs to play. That could happen. That's why we're saying these are late round gambles. But I think there's also a world that could happen where it just stays that Randall Cobb is getting you 6 for 70 every week and throws a touchdown every so often, and getting him in the late rounds feels pretty good.
Yeah. If we get that kind of performance, that's money. Almost as money as that shirt you have. Chris, what are you wearing right now? That's a cool Viore shirt.
Yeah, it's a Viore shirt. They are sponsoring today. I love it. Incredibly soft. Viore clothes all are so soft, which makes it all the more amazing to my uneducated brain that Viore clothes come largely from recycled material. I have the shirt. I have a pair of their shorts. You can't believe how soft they are. They're absolutely great. Viore really is a company you can feel good about supporting them. They're committed to a completely offset carbon footprint. By next year, 80% of their clothing will be made with recycled materials, like the shorts I have. That used to be 4 or 5 plastic bottles. I am pretty dumb. I don't know how that's possible. But believe me when I tell you, you'll get a pair of these shorts to work out in or laze around in. They're so amazingly soft. You can read Viore's story at vioreclothing.com/Harris. If you add the /Harris and decide to purchase something, you'll get 20% off your order. Very, very comfortable clothing and a company you can really feel good about. 20% off vioreclothing.com/Harris.
Getting back into it, the next guy on our list is someone I just drafted based on this list. Even before we recorded, I had a draft moments ago. And you've got Elijah Moore for the Jets.
That's how I can tell Dave Hewitt also in too many leagues.
Yes. Squeezing it around these recordings. So Elijah Moore for the Jets.
Yeah, so we've done a few videos that mention Elijah Moore, and there are times where I've felt like maybe I wasn't advocating for drafting of him. It feels to me like the information really isn't so much about like who's going to play. Is Jamison Crowder too much of a duplication of effort? Like that's all still relevant. I don't think we know for sure. I've been excited to hear that Jet Pete reporters think that maybe Elijah Moore's one of those smaller guys who can play on the outside. That would be awesome because then he can be on the field when Crowder's out there, and I think that would be to his advantage. To me, I think it's the ADP has really come down on Elijah Moore. The hype was really hot on Elijah Moore in July and early August, really hot. But he hurt a quad, and he hasn't done a lot since. And to me, of course, I don't really know what's going to happen, but a hurt quad, if you have to be hurt, that's one where I don't think it lasts all year. I just usually don't. Sometimes maybe it does, but and therefore maybe what needs to be said here is we don't hate players and never want to draft them, and we don't love players and have to have them. We're doing some of that. We're doing some hating and some loving, but we're also relative measuring value. And I don't like it when people say, nope, fantasy draft all about value. That's it. No, like you should actually think that the players you're drafting are good and maybe to some degree want to root for them. And it's a complicated mix. It's a husky tangle, as they say, but in the case of Elijah Moore, it's very consistent actually to say when his ADP was like 7th or 8th round to be like, wait, what? No, I'm not going to do that. But then to say, oh, you mean I can get him in the 10th or the 11th? I mean, I think you were telling me you got him in the 14th.
Yeah.
You know, if he's falling like that, now I really like taking that guy late because I think he's got a ton of upside.
Yeah. So I got him late, and we're talking about late round guys. Rhamondre Stevenson, your hometown guy.
Right.
He wouldn't have been on this list if Sony hadn't left town, right? That's what really creeps him up.
Well, sure, and not only that, but like probably any ADP numbers that we're gonna see on any platform, any website, don't yet fully account for Sony Michel being gone from the Patriots and Rhamondre Stevenson looking like pretty clearly the number 2 running back for the Patriots. So once again, one of those not in my league things where, you know, if I'm telling you I'm really excited because I get him in the 10th round and you're like, you jerk, he just went in the 7th in my league. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, his ADP is going to come up and it hasn't totally been factored in yet. I've been getting him in the double-digit rounds. I've taken him. I've taken him everywhere. We put these guys in alphabetical order for this show because I didn't really feel like a pointless countdown. But to be honest, if I were making a 1, the dude who I've taken the most places in the past since the Sony Michel trade, it's Stevenson. It doesn't feel like the market caught up to him quick. Do I know he's great? Nope. Would I take Damian Harris ahead of him? Yep. Do I think that maybe Damian Harris all along has been overvalued as some kind of pure starter? In some quarters, it feels like that's been true, and Stevenson has a chance to have a workload. Like there was a time when Ivan Fears, the running back coach in New England, was saying, this dude doesn't understand anything and he needs to work on everything. Where it felt like, Rhamondre Stevenson is going to get the red shirt year that Damian Harris did in his first year where he didn't play, right? So Sony Michel being traded, I think, pretty much puts the lie to that. I think Stevenson's expected to play, and I don't know how it's going to work out. He strikes me as a LeGarrette Blount type. Like sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not great. Damian Harris is also a power back. Maybe there isn't enough work for both of them, but I'll take the shot. Not in the 7th round. Don't take him in the 7th round. That's where he's going. Cool, but when you get to the 10th, I'm in.
Yeah, and that goes for maybe not Callaway, but all these guys we're talking about. These are the true late round flyers. If you guys have people you keep ending up with in the late rounds, leave it in the comments below. Let's see where we're all hitting. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you real soon.
Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.